about Shiloh Hendricks, the woman who called a 5-year-old a racial slur. My first impression after watching the video, a little bit of white trash. I have to be honest, the kid was 5. I have worked with 5-year-olds for the last 15 years. Absolutely everything they do is out of pocket. They're like little unhinged drunk people. Nothing they do makes sense. A 5-year-old is capable of rifling through somebody's bag and taking things that don't belong to them. Ask any kindergarten teacher. But I realize why so many people are wanting to defend this. Because Black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood, that they want to praise this woman. But what she did is not praiseworthy. But also on the same hand, please remember that every day that us white people get on this app, we get called racial slurs. Every single day. So if you don't want to be called a racial slur, you also have to stop calling people racial slurs. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. But for the love of God, please leave the children out of it. Adults are stupid, they're gonna do stupid things. But you're a different level of stupid when you bring kids into it. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Hey guys. Hey, listen, did y'all hear about this chick, Shiloh Hendricks? If you haven't heard, Shiloh Hendricks is this white tea trash woman. I said what I said. She's this white tea trash woman who verbally assaulted a 5-year-old black child with autism, repeatedly calling him the N-word and chasing him through the park. Well, not chasing him, but was going after him to do whatever she felt that she had to do because she said he took one of her child's toys or something. But there just so happened to be a Hispanic man in that very park who knew the little boy and his family, and he heard her, and he approached her and asked her, did you just call him?
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great from whatever you're watching me from. As you know, I'm your host and presenter YouTube Stories, and I'm hoping that you are super fine. Now there's a video that I think that we might want to give it a hear, and definitely have something to say about this topic. Normally, I strive so much to shed light to this topic through some research that I do in regards to the things that are happening in our society. Now, there are terms called black fatigue. There's a term also called white fatigue. According to a scholar called Mary Francis, she defines black fatigue as the daily experiences or the overt racism that black people go through during their normal day experiences. And this makes them feel in a given way, of course not in a good way. Historically, you know and I know that black people have been going through the same old thing. Worst of it all, people are getting to learn, and this is something. Not all white people you see around, they were born racist. Or not every white person you see around you is racist. But we have people who are racist. And in this video, we are seeing this woman trying to argue out a point, saying that she's tired of black fatigue, right? To mean black people complaining, black people playing victim as the normal behavior. Well, I have something to say about this. The deflection that some white folks have towards racism is actually the #1 problem, because the first way of solving a problem is knowing where the problem comes from. How can we know where the problem comes from? When you keep on deflecting from the problem, right? Now, that being said, the following are things that we need to note. Racism is not something we come out with naturally. Racism is taught. And in this video, after all these people sharing their thoughts, I'm going to be telling you why racism is not natural. Racism is something which is taught. I want to watch this video. I hope you are going to find value from the commentary that I'm going to share with you, and also learn from all these presenters that I'm going to be talking here. Now, there's just one thing I need to say just upfront before diving deep into the video. Racism is not a natural human instinct. It is a learned behavior, a taught ideology passed through culture, institution, and history. It serves specific purpose in maintaining power, control, and economic structures, right? us understanding why this is something which is taught is important, because the racial slurs that this woman was trying to say, she was saying it to a kid in front of a white kid. And what does this shows you? This shows you that the white kid is going to be learning that, oh, this is how we should be addressing white people. I mean, black people. So let's watch the video. I'll be back and then we'll have a discussion in regards to this.
The N word, and she kept saying it. Right? If you act like that, that's what I'm going to call you. Now, this child was, again, a 5-year-old artistic child. So you know he did not communicate in the normal way. He did not react, he did not interact in the normal way because he's artistic. But because she only saw this, she felt it was her duty to go after him, and she was going to assault him if she had got over to him. And the sickest part about this whole thing is she had a baby on her shoulder, on her hip. She had the child may have been maybe 2, maybe 3, on her hip, as she was repeatedly calling this little boy the N-word. So now you guys know where it comes from. You can see they're taught from childhood. They are groomed from childhood to spew hatred. They're taught from the time they're old enough to understand what words are to spew hatred, to act on hatred, and to see people that don't look like you as less than. Now you know where they get it from. Now you know why it has lasted so long, because they keep feeding it to their children. She had a baby on her hip as she was doing it, and she kept saying it, and the baby was right there. So now you know how they learn it. They see their parents doing it. They listen to their parents talking. They watch their parents interact. Anyway, after she did what she did, she had the caucasity to get on social media and cry her white woman tears to her fellow racists. And they got together and they started a GoFundMe page for her. And they got up to about $600,000 the last time I heard. Right? Reward bad behavior. However, there's an interesting little twist that came out today that I thought you guys might enjoy hearing. It seems that while she was sitting up Googling over these 6 figures that had her name on it, just waiting to get her little grubby paws on it, guess what happened? Yes, the account was shut down. She cannot access that money, nor can the people who donated that money get a refund. Yes! Yes, honey. It does not pay to be ugly. It does not pay. She just knew. Can you imagine how she had spent that money in her head? And she won't get 1 red cent of that $600,000+. Thank you, Karma. I love it. It's a beautiful, sweet payback. To get her hopes up. She saw all those figures growing up daily, just getting up there. The figures were just going up higher. She was getting more and more excited. Probably even all over herself, right? Only to find out that she not getting a coin. No, your racism won't be paid off. You won't be paid for your hatred. You won't be paid for your verbal assault. You won't be paid for your lack of character. You won't be paid for your lack of human qualities. You won't be paid for your simple human kindness. You won't be paid for anything, sweetie. Oh, and then this last little bit. I saw another video, and it's supposed to be her sister. And we know her sister. Yes, we do. If you guys remember back when they first started cutting off the food stamps and they first started cutting off the benefits. You remember this white tea woman, toothless front, got on saying, he said he was going to bring down prices, and I voted for him, and now I'm losing my food stamps. I'm losing my Section 8. I'm just going on. She did a series of videos, right? She was a Trump voter who got caught up in Trump cutting off all those benefits. So you know her. She was a brunette hair, real looking, like her and Meth were on first names. Yeah, that was her. That's her sister. So she's on social media crying, talking about you don't know what her family has went through, and her sister is a beautiful person, and she said, if you act like that, I'm gonna call you that. Girl, didn't nobody want to hear that. Don't nobody care. Talking about they're doxing, they're threatening to dox her address, dox my address. Oh well, when you act out, you get called out. Ain't that's what she said to that little boy? Well, when you act up, you get cut up. Suck it up, buttercup. After the day I had, that just made my day. I hope it made yours too. You know we love to giggle. Y'all have a great one. But before I get out of here, I just have one question to ask to Shiloh. Is it great again yet? My friends. They keep asking.
And another thing, if you're one of them people who supported that dumbass white lady who called the little boy the N-word, fuck you. If you don't like someone because of the color of their skin, you're an abhorrent human being. You really aren't even a human being. And I'm gonna tell you one more thing. Listen, that bitch is lucky that it wasn't my child or it wasn't me recording. Because when I tell you the way I would have rocked that bitch's shit.
Yeah, so a lot of people have been asking me, I guess, for clarity on what the end goal is here, right? They're willing to get active, but they want to understand what the plan is. So as I've stated before, Square and Block Inc. have this policy that prevents that, right? They have a policy that's very strict against hate speech, illegal activity, harassment, all of that. Pretty much any ill-gotten gains are not allowed on their platform at all. They have a very clear-cut policy that states they are against that. But what I have found is this company is very selective of who they adhere that policy to, right? So now what we're calling for is action if you've ever worked with them. So if you have ever worked with, this sounds like one of those commercials, right? If you were a loved one, have ever been a victim of Square. But I'm dead serious. If you have ever worked with Square, if you have ever worked with Cash App, Tidal, Afterpay, any of them, if you have ever had your funds frozen for less than harassment or hate speech, if you have ever had your money delayed, if you have ever went through extensive verification processes on Cash App that were unnecessary, right? If you have ever been slightly inconvenienced by these platforms as a customer and they couldn't give you a reason why other than the fact that you violated their policy, then we want you to go to the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, and we want you to file a complaint, right? And I know they are gutting the FTC right now, right? But that ain't our end goal. It's just a paper trail. So we need y'all to file those complaints because the system is still operating. Those complaints will still be there. So once we file those complaints, here's what we're going to do. If they give her so much as a fucking nickel of that money, we will file a class action lawsuit against them. So they can backpedal all they want, but they can't escape their own policy. And in the United States, yes, they do legally have to apply that policy fairly to everyone. And if you've never been a customer, which I find hard to believe because there's so many different services, but if you don't want to file a complaint with the FTC on behalf of yourself, you can just file a complaint with the Attorney General to document the widespread harm that this has caused. All of that is going to be a lump sum for us to muscle them into a corner to freeze those fucking funds.
Why they so intimidated by black women? This is why they didn't want Kamala Harris to become the first black woman president. They are intimidated by black women. Keandria Damone, the black woman who did all her research, put all her ducks in a row, and shut down Shiloh Hendricks, the white woman who thought she was about to walk away with the millions of dollars that they raised for her calling a little autistic black kid the N-word. Not on her watch. That girl did her homework. She did her research. She educated and she knew what she was doing. And if you go look at her story and listen to her tell it, they tried to play her. And that's how she learned how to do everything that she did, because they tried to shut down her business. So after she did her research, she figured out how to go back and shut her down. So why you think you about to walk away with them millions of dollars for being a racist? Not on her watch. And it took a black woman to be able to do it. So don't tell us what a black woman can't do. That's why they so intimidated by us, because we don't play no games. And when it's something that we passionate about, baby, we gonna get down to the bottom of it. And this is why they say.
Ooh, so let me get this straight. A white teen woman, Shiloh, can raise 700 fucking K for calling a 5-year-old autistic black boy the N-word. But I get on this bitch and call y'all saltine crackers and I get motherfucking banned. So y'all way to allow racism is to say it's under freedom of speech. But I could have swore hate speech was not under the act of freedom of speech. But okay, y'all really sit up here and show us every day how much y'all dislike black people. If you knew anything about autism, you would know sometimes there's different spectrums of autism. I have a 5-year-old autistic daughter. And at the end of the day, there's different levels and different spectrums. Who's to say that child genuinely did not know what they were doing? And instead of her being an actual mother, because that is what she lacks the fuck in, y'all call that protecting. I call that allowing and teaching her child at that very young age where their mind picks up everything, how to be a racist. But you mean to tell me instead of her saying, oh, would you like to play with the toy? Or you know what? You can't play with that, baby. That's for my child. Like a actual mother with empathy, a true mother would have done. She took that opportunity to be a blatant racist. And instead of y'all holding that hoe accountable, y'all raised 700K for this bitch. And this is why y'all need not to get the fuck on my page and tell me another fuck thing about what I say. This is why I'm always pro-black. Right or fucking wrong, I stand with my fucking people. Why? Because at the end of the day, y'all gonna do the same for y'all. Y'all will sit up here and call us everything underneath the sun. And then piggyback off of our literal hard work to build your generational wealth. And then you have this other YT Palatian on a motherfucking national news saying, oh, I use the N-word. It's nothing. We should be able to use it. Okay, so I should be able to call you everything underneath the sun. And when you step across that line, I should be able to tag in that ass. And see, this is what's going to end up happening. Y'all are going to step or call the wrong black person something and they're going to tag in that ass. And this is what I think my black people need to start doing. Stop living in fear from these people. Because as you can see, that's why they believe that they are superior to us, because we're worried about police brutality and all of the things that could happen if we start standing up for ourselves. But I would rather stand for something than fall for any motherfucking thing. At this point, don't even cross my path. As a mother of an autistic child, I wish the fuck any of you would. I wish the fuck that would have been my child. I wish the fuck that would have been my child. She would have got that ass whooped so bad, she would have donated that 700K back to everybody who donated to her. And I promise you that. Y'all are picking and choosing the right fucking people. I promise y'all are. Tread the fuck lightly. And it's crazy how she needing to move for the protection of her family. I've been on this app 4 years. Do you know how many death threats I've received? Do you know how many times the Triple K came after me and said things about what they would do to my children on this app? And when I posted proof, everybody said I tried to be a victim. But y'all are literally raising 700K for this fucking girl because she needs to move for the safety of her family. This is how I know you're not really about their life, because I've been in the same motherfucking spot since they doxed my fucking address. Have I left? Fuck no. Will I leave? Fuck no. Why? Because you would never in your goddamn life make me feel like I gotta look over my shoulder because you want to be a racist. Just come fuck around and find out. That's all I say.
I am realizing, because of this outdoor natural light, how white I am, that I probably don't even like show up on the Pantone swatches within the white family. Well, speaking of white, I want to talk about Shiloh Hendricks. If you don't know, well, really I want to talk about Keandria Damone. But if you don't know who Shiloh Hendricks is, you clearly have not like been to the internet ever. She is a mom in Rochester, Minnesota. After a 5-year-old at the park, I guess, took some of her kids' stuff, like probably toys, maybe some food, she then felt justified to call this 5-year-old boy the N-word and then physically threaten him by chasing after him. And then a man was filming her, and she then proceeded to call him the N-word over and over again. So what did she do? She apologized. No, she did not. She actually went home and she started a fundraising campaign. And that fundraising campaign is over $750,000. So this woman could get upwards of $1 million. Who knows where the ceiling is? Cut to Keandria Damone. genius. Oh my God, there's a FedEx truck. I'm scared. Keandria Damone, genius. What she did was she went to this fundraising platform and she dug into the coding. Like, just the word coding makes me feel like upset and scared. This woman figured out the coding to find that the bank that would be processing all of these payments to this woman who is raising money just for being an that the bank, it's the company Block Inc. Excuse me, I'm talking. The company is Block Inc. I said I'm talking. So what she has listed out on her Instagram profile, like she has a document with, a template of language that you can send to this Block Inc. and its subsidiaries to try to get them to block.
Hello, brethren. Hello, brothers and sisters. I'm your host and presenter, Agent Stories, and I'm hoping that you are doing super great from wherever you're watching me from. Now, the following are things that we need to talk about. And as said, I promise to share with you the reason as to why racism is a taught behavior. Racism is not something which is naturally human instinct. Now, reason one, racism is taught to maintain power and control. Racism functions as a tool of dominance. It is taught to ensure that certain groups, typically those in power, remain at the top of the social, political, and economic hierarchy by convincing one group, often white or lighter-skinned population, that they are inherently superior to others. The ruling class avoids solidarity among the oppressed and directs frustration away from themselves. Instead of poor white and poor black uniting against economic exploitation, for example, racism creates division and mistrust, ensuring that power remains concentrated in the hands of the elite. This manipulation is centuries old, dating back to colonialism, segregation, and remains effective today because it is deeply embedded in education and media and social institutions. There is an illusion that somehow a kid might have. For example, with a black or white kid, this is something that we need to talk about. First, this woman says all these things in front of this kid. What will run in the mind of this kid is that, one, somehow there is a class that we have that the black kid don't have. Right? Two, her saying that she is tired of black fatigue. This means that she's tired of black people getting in the platform complaining about the things that are not happening to them, deflecting from the truths that should be said, the truths that should be shared to us as people. It is normal for a kid, and this is something that I've seen, and as kids we also went through. We have people with different personalities. The kid was having autism, and generally there is a special way of treating this kind of kids or this kind of people. But she didn't treat the kid with accordance. Instead, she went ahead, and when she was confronted, she went ahead and cried. She went on a GoFundMe platform, raised a lot of money that I'm hearing that she didn't manage to withdraw them. But at the end of the day, this shows you how people really can deflect, and people can shed tears out of the mistakes that they're the ones that they have made. As an elder between the two kids, she had a role of finding a way of making the black kid and making him learn that what he did was wrong, and not calling her the racial slurs. Racism is a taught thing because it creates a false sense of identity and superiority. Racism is also taught to give individuals in dominant groups a manufactured sense of pride and belonging. That facial identity is rooted not in culture or achievement, but in position to the other. White supremacy, for example, defines whiteness not by its own values, by what it is not: black, brown, foreign, poor. Teaching racism fosters a collective identity based on superiority rather than unity or humanity. This particularly This is particularly useful in societies where dominant groups may also be suffering economically or socially. By giving them someone to look down on, racism offers an all but powerful form of esteem, making people feel better about themselves at the expense of others. You're not hearing the word white rage. White rage generally comes from the fact that black people are getting to learn about their rights. Black people are getting to learn about their worth, and they're calling all these people out. And even in the video, you could see black people trying to talk all about this. But you see, initially in the past, they didn't have this power. And now it pains some white folks that we are having black people that are retaliating by calling out all these things that are happening, saying what is going on, calling what it is for what it is without black and white, without hiding anything, right? Another thing as to why racism is a thought phenomena is racism distracts from real systemic issues. One of the most dangerous reasons racism is taught is to redirect blame. Yes, I'm talking about deflection. When people face poverty, lack of jobs, or poor healthcare, the power elite, who often create or exacerbate these problems, benefit from public anger being turned elsewhere. Racism allows for scapegoating. Politicians, media, and corporations often promote racial fear or resentment to shift the focus away from corporate greed, corrupt governance, or broken institutions. Teaching people to blame immigrants for unemployment or to see black people as responsible for crime helps maintain the illusion that the system is just, that problems are the fault of these people rather than structural inequality or elite manipulation. Another thing you need to know is that racism helps preserve institutional hierarchies. Institutions like police, courts, schools, and even healthcare systems have been structured to serve the dominant racial groups. To keep this system functioning without mass resistance, racism is taught subtly or overtly, so that unequal outcomes seem natural or deserved. For instance, if students are taught to see black communities as violent or underachieving, they are less likely to question why those communities receive fewer educational resources. If people believe police brutality is as a result of bad neighborhoods, they are less likely to see it as a systemic abuse. Teaching racism justifies these unequal structures and minimizes the moral agency to reform them. Also, racism is used as a weapon of psychological warfare. Racism is taught to break the spirits of the oppressed. When a person is constantly told they are less intelligent, less beautiful, less human, they begin to internalize it. This internalized racism can lead to self-hatred, division within their communities, and diminished sense of possibility. It becomes harder to organize, to resist, or to imagine a better future. Teaching racism is not just about external domination, it is about mental colonization. By shaping how marginalized people see themselves, racism turns them into their own oppressors. It is a cruel form of social engineering that robs an entire group of their dignity, unity, and hope. Right? So, there is a lot to learn in this topic, and a couple of things could go wrong, but at the end of the day, I want us as black people, and I'm thankful that black folks are saying things in a broader way, like the argument that they have and how things are unraveling today. It is really, really important, and I'm happy also that black folks are getting on to business and are getting things done the way it is and it should be done. I'm your host and presenter, Jindok Stories. I'm hoping that you are great, but until then, I'm hoping to see you on my next video. And for those who are watching us for the first time, I'll ask you to subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and see what I can offer you. For those who want to support me, you could check my bio You could, I'm having a cash app. You could, if you want to buy me a coffee, I'll definitely appreciate. For those who are supporting me, I'm highly grateful. And let me see you on my next video. But until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.